Consumerism doesn't enslave you through force. It enslaves you by keeping you too tired to imagine anything else, too exhausted to fathom a better life we could all be living. And once more of us start to see that as a collective, the trap stops being perfect. Feeling exhausted, broke, and always busy while everything feels pointless. That's not by accident. That's by design. Everything you've been told about work and freedom is a lie. Consumerism is the perfect slave trap. Here's why. It's not loud, and it does not compel us to conform through force, but through coercion. It keeps people obedient, exhausted, and distracted while convincing them they're free. You work long hours, often at jobs that don't feel meaningful or necessary. You're busy all the time, but somehow nothing truly meaningful gets done. You feel drained, but you don't feel fulfilled. Your soul feels dead because deep down, you know how inauthentic all this work really is. And you feel like you're just merely existing and not truly living. And that feeling isn't accidental. Anthropologist David Graeber, author of Bullshit Jobs, A Theory, studied this and found something disturbing. About half of the people in modern economies believe their jobs are pointless, socially useless, meaningless, and empty. And according to Graeber, this isn't a failure of the system. It's by design, because a population with time, security, and energy does something very dangerous. They think. We actually saw this briefly in the 1960s. Housing and food were affordable, education didn't bury people in debt. Unions were strong, productivity gains went to the working class. And when people stopped worrying about survival, they started asking questions, organizing, challenging power. That terrified the ruling class. So instead of letting technology free people, they created the opposite, creating techno-feudalism. John Maynard Keynes, an English economist, wrote an essay called Economic Possibilities for Our Grandchildren, predicting that by now, we'd be working 15 hours a week. However, that didn't really happen. We didn't miss that future because it was impossible. We missed it because productivity gains were redirected into bureaucracy, administration, and jobs where people are constantly monitored, not to produce anything meaningful, but to enforce control, conformity, and obedience. Jobs that keep people busy, jobs that train obedience, jobs that make work a moral credential rather than something truly useful to humanity. People feel busy all the time, but everything they do feels meaningless because modern capitalism doesn't need most people's labor anymore. It just needs their compliance. Meaningless jobs train obedience, enforce conformity, and keep people under control. This is why overwork is praised even when it destroys health. This is why automation is resisted even when it could reduce human suffering. And that's where consumerism comes in. You're kept comfortable enough not to revolt. Just entertained enough not to question. Just exhausted enough not to resist. That's why consumerism is the perfect slave trap. There are no physical chains, no physical guards, just endless work, endless spending, endless consuming, and endless exhaustion, and the illusion that this is normal. And here's the most dangerous part. The system only works because people believe in it collectively. Money, markets, and productivity matrix, they're not the law of nature. They only exist because we all unconsciously agreed to abide by them. And the moment we stop blindly conforming, we stop equating worth with work. We stop confusing consumption with freedom. We stop trading our entire lives for survival. We dismantle the illusion. This isn't about creating chaos. It's about becoming more conscious and seeing through the lies they have fed us. Because people who are regulated, rested, and self-trusting are harder to manipulate, harder to scare, harder to control. That's why awareness itself is treated as a threat. Consumerism doesn't enslave you through force. It enslaves you by keeping you too tired to imagine anything else, too exhausted to fathom a better life we could all be living. And once more of us start to see that as a collective, the trap stops being perfect. Right now, more and more people are waking up. Many young people are seeing through the lies, the fake dreams big corporations sell, the career ladders that lead nowhere but more slavery. We've started asking, do we even need all these things we're buying? Do we really need all these loans, mortgages, subscriptions, and the monthly payments that keep us trapped in a job? How do we spend less, consume less, and live more intentionally and minimally without feeling deprived? This is part of the rebellion, because as long as we buy into consumerism unconsciously, we're feeding the system, we're enabling it. Because once we see this for what it is, we begin to realize that the power isn't with them, it's with us. Every time you question, pause, or choose differently, every time you spend intentionally instead of blindly, every time you rest, reflect, and reclaim your time, you chip away at the trap. You take back your attention, your energy, your life. And when more of us do this together, the illusion cracks. The perfect slave trap becomes imperfect. We start to see the world not as they want us to, but as it could be. That's the rebellion. That's the awakening. And that is unstoppable. If you found this video helpful, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more content like this, and thank you for watching.